All right, that was exhilarating. What a victory. Illinois over Kansas. The game just ended a couple minutes ago. This is going to be my first time actually recording a live episode of Locked On Illini. So let's go Xavier Scott game. Feel free. I want to hear your thoughts. 2-0, first time in the Brett Bielema era. I'm really proud of this team. And let's do our first live postgame.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Illini. I don't have to do the read, but you know I'm so eternally grateful for those of you finding me here. Some of you are joining me possibly for the first time. My name is Sunny Verma. You can find me at IlliniCast if you're into the whole live streaming. I tweet as I watch the game. You can also find me at the Sunny V if you're more into other sports content, where I also do a lot of Big Ten show and Chicago Bears content. But I want to talk about this amazing Illini performance. It wasn't even amazing. It was 23-17, and that's why I have a lot of thoughts on it, which I'm going to share with you guys this week. But you know, I'm looking forward to hearing your guys' comments. This is your feedback. I want to do this essentially after every game. Happy Hermit, nice of you to join us. ILLINI. The vibes are good. This is obviously a complete meet. The game ended just a couple minutes ago. So I haven't been able to check the post-game conferences. I certainly have some questions for Brett Bielema, for Barry Lundy Jr. I want to see who they bring out. But I want to hear what you guys think. Malcolm tells me, what a game. Indeed, what a game. Keep in mind, guys, Kansas was one of the favorites to win the Big 12. This was not a bad team that we played. Even when we were down in that fourth quarter, I was already coming up with stories and narratives in my head where I was going to talk this week about how I wasn't disappointed in the performance of the Illini today. We didn't play a great game. I mean, our secondary had a pretty solid game, but otherwise, overall, we played an okay game. And you know what we did with an okay game? We took care of business and took down one of the top Big 12 contenders. What does that tell you? That tells you, I mean, we all remember what happened last year. Thankfully, I wasn't doing this show last year at this time. That would have been a depressing episode. By the way, before I started this, I have 1,099 subscribers. Please, someone, let me know in the chat who's going to be the 1,100th subscriber to this show. Make my night. Let's all celebrate. Hit that like button. Likes for good vibes. The Illini win 23-17. I mean, where do we start? You know, let's just go ahead and start with the chat real quick. Sean says, disappointed in the decision to kick the first field goal. Also thought Lunny could have been a lot more aggressive early. That said, ILL. Yeah, I've got plenty to vent about when it comes to Barry Lundy Jr.'s play calling. I think 80% of it was on Barry, but I do think a certain percentage of it was on Luke too. I think Luke was a little too apprehensive. I think on a couple RPOs, he decided to hand off the ball when he could have held on to it. I just think he made a couple poor decisions early in the game that just didn't quite work out. Harold says INI. Malcolm also says NIU beat Notre Dame. Icing on the cake. It's been a good day. Happy Hermit. Those 10 points late in the first half were huge. Bryant's catch should have been catch of the game. It's hard to not say that Zachary Franklin catch was not the catch of the game. Arguably, people were talking about this on Twitter. Was this the best catch I've ever seen as an Illini fan? It's right up there. It's up there with that game a couple seasons ago where we played, I think, Western Illinois or something like that, where the young kid went up in the end zone, came down with it, but unfortunately got hurt, and I don't think he ever played college football again. One of you guys in the chat are going to remember his name. My memory is a little bit off, but let's talk about this game in general. Again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Defensive line is going to be an issue. They really didn't get much press on Kansas. Jalen Daniels had all the time in the world to do whatever he wanted. And we're fortunate that Jalen just didn't have a very good game. He had 3 interceptions, which was the first time he's ever had that many in a single game. The Xavier Scott game. And Miles Scott had a fantastic game himself. Xavier Scott, I would be shocked if he does not win Defensive Player of the Week for the Big Ten. He was everywhere. And the boys at Armchair Illini, I think they released an article halfway through the game saying, hey, we may have found our next great defensive back. And Xavier certainly played like it. Let me know who you think your guys' play of the games is. I'm shocked. I'm not shocked that we won. Those of you who did catch the pregame episode I released late last night, I was pretty clear that the closer we got to kickoff, the closer I thought to maybe there was an opportunity for Illinois to pull this off. The line, if you're a gambler, was moving in our direction. It opened up, I think, at 6.5. By kickoff, it was 4. Ultimately, I decided I think 34-31 was my final score, and it was only because I kind of wanted the defense and Aaron Henry to show me what they had. And let's be honest, they did. The game ball today goes to Aaron Henry. The game ball goes to Xavier Scott and the defensive side of the football. They kept us in this game. Our offense at this point, man, if you were on X, if you were on social media, no one had faith that this offense would score, which is incredible when you think about it, because this wasn't supposed to be a defensive game. 23-17 could have been a halftime score. But no, defense was the name of the game. I think Illinois only allowed like 3 points, 22 minutes into the game. I think I made that tweet. Aaron Henry and the defense showed up. The defensive line didn't have a great game, but I don't know. I think the scheme was fine. I just don't know if the talent is necessary there. And we talked about this for the last couple of weeks. I think that's the weakest unit on the field. And, it's one thing when Jackus is doing his thing, but today it didn't quite happen as much. And Jalen Daniels, and again, we're also lucky that, what's his name? Kotelnicki, the Kansas offensive coordinator from last year, who's now the coordinator at Penn State, who, by the way, barely escaped with the win today. We're lucky he moved on from Kansas, because that offensive coordinator, he's going to have some conversations with Lance Leipold. I can't imagine Kansas fans are happy with the play calling of the Jayhawks. We could not stop the run. Every time they hand the ball, Devin Neal is one of the most sneaky good running backs in the entire country. You think he stopped, and then all of a sudden he makes a little twitch here, and he zooms off for another 5, 6, 8 yards. Kansas was offering us the game, and that was the frustrating part, because all of us, if you're tuning in here, all 47 of you live, all of us are Illini fans. And for the most part, we know what we've come to expect when you're an Illini fan. Be honest, how many of you thought that we were going to pull this game off when we were down, 17-13 in the third quarter? Those last 10 points. Who thought we were going to come back? I did not have much hope, especially with the way our offense is going. And how Illini is it? How Illini football is it that one drive starts with a muff punt that goes in the end zone that somehow works out in our favor? We get the ball as a touchback, and guess what? The previous dozen drives to that, our offense was showing nothing. And that muffed punt, where it looked like the game was over at that point, we had lost all momentum. We had lost momentum an hour ago. That drive leads to an 80-yard touchdown. But we know why. It's because all of a sudden, they open up the offense a little bit. Let's go ahead and catch up on comments. You guys are doing fantastic. By the way, 62 of you watching live. This is my first time doing live. If you want me to do this more often, let me know. I enjoy it. Some of you are probably my followers also from Illini Cast. We had a pregame, and we'll be doing a postgame possibly later today, depending on how long we go. Let's see. Cat Feline says, Lofbury basically ejected from game by coaches after dropping that TD pass. Well, Lofbury was in the very next drive, which I actually kind of appreciated. He's a young kid who had a great game last week. And I felt like if you benched him immediately, that's going to be something that he would have sat with, and it would have just lingered in his head for a very, very long time. And it's obvious that even in today's game, where you played both Fagan and Lofbury, that he's a big part of your future moving forward. You don't want a kid like that losing confidence. Franklin's catch was great, but Bryant's was much harder catch. Absolutely. Bryant's was clutch. Luke, for all his faults, and he does have faults, I think for almost that first drive, I thought was a great drive. I thought it was nice, methodical. You switched up passing, you switched up rushing. Obviously, Lofbury dropped the catch that should have been 7 points, ended up being 3. But after that, it seemed like we just neutered our offense. I'm not sure what the deal was there, and it wasn't just me. All of you noticed it. We tried nothing. It was just the Kansas defensive coordinator knew we were going to rush the ball on first down every single time. And Caden Fagan didn't have a great game. I don't have the box score popped up yet. I'll get to that in a second. But the offense was just non-existent from quarter, basically halfway through the first to the fourth. And then again, the muff punt happens, and all of a sudden, we go off. Luke, the thing with Luke is, the questions that all of us have with him. He needs to trust himself and just throw the ball, because he can throw a nice ball. His issue last year was sometimes he just held on a little bit too long. He needed to be sure that wide receiver was going to get open. He doesn't need to do that this year. And this was one of my biggest frustrations. And I hope that once they get done watching the game tape, that they build his confidence even more. Just throw it up there. You've got a good arm. You've got decent accuracy. But more than that, you've got some dogs. You have guys who can come down with that ball. Pat Bryant showed you that. Zachary Franklin. That's telling. Luke Altmaier, essentially for a while, just didn't seem to trust himself. Then there was what it looked like it was going to be an offside play. So Luke thought he had a free play. And what did he do? He just threw it up to Zachary Franklin, who came down with that one-handed grab that's going to show up on every highlight for college football this week. Why? Because he just threw it up. He threw a good ball and let the wide receiver make the play. That's what we need him to do. If he does that, our offense is genuinely – I know this was one of my bold predictions, but I don't think it's a bold prediction. I think our offense can be one of the top third in the Big Ten. The talent is there. Let me know what you guys think. All right. Happy Hermit agrees with me. Secondary gets a game ball. Yeah, secondary and what's his name? Aaron Henry, for sure. Malcolm says the defensive backs were baiting the QB the whole game. The QB was falling for it. I was not impressed by Jalen Daniels today. I was not. I'll be honest. I think he played a very mediocre game. I can't say I've watched too much of his career, but I can't imagine that today was one of his better games. I think oftentimes, obviously with the 3 interceptions, he gave us the opportunity to win. He could have ended that game early. But the fact that Kansas couldn't go up multiple scores, I think, and just the fact that we kept ourselves in it, ultimately it worked out for us. 70 of you guys watching, again, if this is your first time tuning in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm the only guy out here who's producing Illini content for you daily. This is not easy. And I don't ask for anything in return. The only thing I ask for is for you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. All right. Sean also says, pleasantly surprised by Belante. I think Valentine. Yeah, Khalil Valentine. And I'm going to have a segment about him later on this week. If Caden's the current Brett Bielema future star, I think Khalil is showing that he's the future Brett Bielema running back stud. What a game by him. And the fact that, as you said, Sean, the staff trusted him this late in a game that really, really matters, that tells you how highly they think of him. True freshman. How often do true freshmen at that position get on the field? But Brett, he's been talking about him all off season long. Obviously a 4-star. I'm very excited. And I can't wait. Right now this is a reaction show, right? I want to hear what you guys think. That completely reaction show. I'll watch this game again a second and third time and have more notes themselves. But this is right off the top of my head. I noticed the same thing. The fact that they were so willing to go with Khalil Valentine in that second half that early. It made sense against Eastern Illinois when you're up 40. But we did it here against a very good Kansas team. One of the better teams on our schedule in a must-win game. I think it was a must-win. We're 2-0 now. First time in the Brett Bielema era, we start off 2-0. And let's be honest, we kind of needed this victory, especially where we have bowl aspirations. This was one of the coin flips that we needed to have go our way. Malcolm says, nobody except you was calling Illini to win. Malcolm, I'm going to call myself out. No, I had us losing 34-31. I thought I was much more positive, let's just say that, coming into the game. But my preseason prediction was us losing. And so I didn't want to just all of a sudden go back on that just 10 days after I recorded my preseason episode. I felt like that wasn't fair. But again, with the way we played in that first game, I was certainly more optimistic. I just wanted the defense and Aaron Henry to prove it to me. And guess what? They absolutely proved it to me. Sean says under. Absolutely. Smitty says, Leipold and the offensive coordinator got away from running the ball for some reason. I have no idea why. I say this, I'm celebrating today, as we should all celebrate. Me and the 83 people of you watching in this chat. We have plenty of reasons to celebrate. But equally, if you find that Kansas Jayhawks live show right now, I can't imagine how frustrated they are. They had their way running. Devin Neal, he ate us up last year. He was eating us up this year. But for some reason, they just kept passing the ball. And at least when it comes to the pass, we handled our business. Well, not really. Caleb Patterson, I don't know. How bad does Brooks look if Patterson's still playing over him next week? I think Happy Hermit says, I think the Illinois defensive line were more concerned with containment rather than rushing the passer. I mean, maybe, and maybe that was the case last week too, because obviously not much is happening when it comes to the box score. They're not really getting many numbers, it seems like. But I mean, at some point, you have to put some pressure on that quarterback. You can't give a guy like that all day long. Jalen Daniels is one of the better quarterbacks that we're going to face this year, and we are very fortunate that he just threw out some ducks and he made some very poor decisions. And guess what? Xavier Daniels came down with them. Yeah, all right. Welcome. Is that running back on Kansas is the real deal? Absolutely. Sean never felt confident, but was always a toss-up. Yeah, basically, yep. Things leaked after that fumble at the goal line. Oh, indeed. Sterling says, good win, but too many stuff runs up the middle with so many athletic wide receivers. I mean, I think that's going to be everyone's number one frustration, right? Is there something else you guys are frustrated with? I just think the play calling from halfway through the first quarter through until we hit the fourth quarter just got very stale. And I'm just curious why. Was it just Barry Lundy Jr.? Was it play calling, or was Luke not making the throws that he needs to make? Again, I'll watch this game a second and third time, and I'll have episodes for you every single week. So remember, hit that like button, subscribe button, and importantly, the notification button too, if you want to know right when videos go live. Speaking of going live, Sean says he likes live. If you guys like live, let me know. I'm kind of undecided, but if you guys like it, let's do it. Mark, Kansas offense is really effing good. Yes. Defense did better than most will do against them. How about them positivity? Yes. Czar also likes live. Joshua is not a very big fan of Barry Lundy Jr. Says to fire him off to the sun. School stuff says, so annoying that we continue to run the same running plays. Happy that the line bowed their necks in the fourth because they were getting embarrassed. Yeah, running, it was not a great game for the running running backs, except for Valentine. Caden, again, I don't have the box score in front of me. Wasn't all that impressive, and that takes a lot for me to say because I know you all know how big of a Caden Fagan fan I am. With Caden, you always wait for him to break those couple tackles, and once he breaks those couple tackles, he becomes so much harder to tackle. I know it's very lazy, and I apologize if my internet feed is going down a little bit. When he gets some steam ahead, he becomes almost impossible to tackle. And we didn't see that today. All right. So Sean says Xavier Scott had a heck of a game. School stuff would like to see more LZ. Yeah, LZ, I don't know what happened. Did he have any catches today? Nothing that I can think of off the top of my head. Problem against running against Kansas is they're too fast. You need a fast, dodgy back to run against them. Fagan was just a big, easy target to hit. Yeah, you're not wrong, Kat. And again, we may have seen that emerging player. You know, whether it's Lafferty's obviously the guy who the staff wants, but I mean, they've been talking about Khalil Valentine and his performance in that fourth quarter when we absolutely needed him. I think he may have earned himself some more snaps next week and the rest of the season. Jason, how are you, friend? Says Brooks must have really pissed him off if you can't get on the field, especially with Patterson getting 8 up. Yeah, I'm baffled. For me, the addition of Brooks raised the ceiling of that defense. We saw how aggressive that they went after him, and the NIL investment that they went with. Some of you guys know, professionally, I live in the Austin area now, and it's because I also cover the Texas Longhorns. So I was always familiar with Terrence Brooks. And the fact, I was super excited. I thought immediately he was our best defensive back as soon as he signed those papers, but apparently not. Apparently the staff needs to see more. I'm going to be curious to see these post-game sessions with the coaching staff and see if we have any more updates. Is it the same issues? Is he still not being, what's the word, consistent? Gamer26 says, do you think we have a shot at beating Michigan this year? Now, my everydayers in here, you guys know my opinion on that Michigan game. So let Gamer know in the chat what I've declared in an earlier episode about our chances at Michigan. Hair likes live. I appreciate that. Malcolm says, yeah, but the title of your show was Upset Alert or something like that. Yeah, fair enough. All right. Alex, how are you? So I think the O-line got overpowered a little. Lunny didn't get creative. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a good game for Barry Lunny Jr., which is funny because, coming into this game, we were worried like, hey, we're confident in one of our coordinators. Is the other coordinator that we're worried about. But what the results were vice versa. It was Barry Lunny Jr. who really had an awful game. And Aaron Henry, I mean, was this Aaron Henry's best game? Considering the talent that we're going up against, the offensive powerhouse that we're going up against, considering what they did to us last year, 34-7 after 3. And it wasn't even that close. It felt like it was 60-7. Tyler says, didn't target Bryant till the 4th, or was it Luke? Why? Yeah, these are all questions. I'm as baffled as you are. They really didn't let Luke throw the ball, or Luke chose not to throw the ball until really late in the fourth quarter. Jose, thank you for joining us today. Quarterback holding ball and late handoffs to Fagan, no momentum while running up the middle. Valentine provided quickness to hit some holes. Absolutely. You can see the yin and yang. And, I mean, that running back room is clearly the best the best unit we have on this team. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And we're seeing it even in the first 2 games between Fagan, Lofgren, and Valentine. We have 3 guys who, if they were the starter, I think I would be comfortable. Hopefully, obviously, that we're not going to have to deal with any sort of injury in that room like we did last year. But should that happen to 1 or maybe even 2 guys, I think we have the guys behind them to take care of business. Jason also says, our O-line has some deeper concerns. Right tackle hasn't been set yet, and Krutz was being pushed around. I'll take your word for it, Jason. I don't want to speak on it because I have to watch the game again. Again, this is post-game. I'm just trying to this is like a therapy session on some days. Today, I think it's more of a celebratory toast. But Malcolm agrees with me that it was Henry's best game. Let's just talk about that defense a little bit. And again, I apologize if we're having some issues with reception here. So where do we start? Xavier Scott just made the right plays. I mean, that first interception bailed us out because it looked like Kansas was just going to drive and score. And he comes down with it. And immediately I want to hear your thoughts first before I want to give my thoughts. Brad says, I mean, this was a top 25 team. We're not going to look good at every position. Exactly right, Brad. So that's actually what I kind of was leading off the episode with. Like, when we were down, I think it was 17-13, in my head, I was already coming up with a story which I thought would not exactly make folks happy, but how I genuinely felt. And that's that I think that this was a good game, even if we ended up losing. And I say that because I compare that. And if those of you who watch me on Illini Cast with Austin, by the way, if you're on YouTube and you don't know about Illini Cast, just do the search. It's this right here, Illini Cast on YouTube. We did a pregame there. I talked about how I wanted to see progress. This was a perfect barometer to see progress on this team. Last year, boat race, dominated. We weren't even close. This year, we came out with a victory. Even if we didn't, we kept up with them. Against Kansas is a very good team, guys. I think they were ranked, number 19? Number 19 in the country, I believe. One of the favorites to win the Big 12. And we competed with them the entire game. The difference is at the end, this time, Illinois was able to push through and come out victorious. That was the difference. And that's what we kind of want to see. Brett's talked plenty about how the culture in this locker room was, with this program was, they need to learn not to lose, not to lose, not to lose. That's what he was trying to teach them. Well, guess what? Once we got to that step, he's like, now it's my turn to try to teach them how to win. That's what they did today. They made the plays they needed to make to win. Last week, Eastern Illinois was a confidence booster. But this week, I think this Kansas game, now tell me if this is malarkey. I think this Kansas victory essentially gives this team the confidence to win any game on the schedule, minus probably Oregon. Now, I realized a game where I didn't answer your question earlier. Illinois beating Michigan was actually one of my bold predictions for the season. Obviously, I'm a lot more confident on that now. I'm not confident, don't get me wrong. Michigan's still a really, really good team, and Texas is just on a different level. And that's going to be a hard-fought game, and Michigan's going to be probably favored. I don't know if it's going to be double digits, but outside Oregon, and even Oregon's struggling. I don't know. Last check, they struggled with Idaho last week, and Boise State was up 3-0 last time I checked the score, right before I came on here. So maybe even Oregon's not quite as good, and we'll see what happens once they enter Big Ten play. Because if they're struggling with Idaho and they're struggling with Boise State, all right. Check it out. Says, check it out. How are you, sir? What was your win-loss prediction for Illinois this season? You need to add one more win. I had my official episode. I did 7 wins, so I think I'm on track at this point. I was a little more optimistic. I usually tend to be more optimistic when it comes to the football, but I'll be honest. I thought 7 was a little high. That was probably my ceiling, but getting this win is huge. And you know what else is going to be huge? 2 weeks from now. We need to take care of business against the MAC school next week. But that showdown, the showdown against Nebraska, the Huskers, who look very good themselves. My Twitter feed was basically all Illini and Nebraska this evening. That's going to be one heck of a game. Under the lights, I believe that's at in Lincoln Memorial Stadium. I think that's a night game with my good friend Justin Adams. We'll definitely be talking about that game plenty. But I mean, talk about two teams that, I mean, I guess Nebraska had a little hype coming into this year, but Illinois didn't. Illinois certainly didn't. A lot of folks had us picked finishing like bottom three. I don't see that happening. I thought that was crazy then. And I think I seem a little less crazy now. Cat Feline also says, well, I think this game clinches a bowl game season unless they really play bad, which I doubt. It would be nice to see them beat Nebraska, but I don't think that's likely. Exactly what I just said, my friend. That Nebraska game is going to be clutch. Sante, welcome. Khalil brings a different skill set than the other running backs. Bielema has a big running back room that lacks enough twitch. Khalil, absolutely. He's definitely one of the big stories from tonight's game. Brad says, how much NIL did Brett gain tonight? I mean, can we acknowledge how important this game was? Sold out, 60,000 plus. I wish I was there. 60,000 plus people today. And everyone who I know at the game told me that when that pick six happened early in the game, that's the loudest that they ever remember that stadium getting. There was a lot of hype with this game. And I talked about this in the pregame with Austin at Illini Cast. Like, we know the football fan base isn't nearly as passionate as it is, or at least maybe passionate's not the right word. We don't have the numbers that the basketball side has. But sold out stadium. The fans did their part for this game, this huge game. And it was up to the coaching staff and the players to do it on the field today. And they did. I think this is huge for the program, not just NIL, but you're talking about selling X amount more tickets next Saturday, and then just moving forward. How much are season tickets going to go up now? I hope every game has 45, 50, 60,000 fans in that stadium. This is a good team. It's a good Big Ten team. It's not a great Big Ten team. It's not going to win the conference, but you know what? Year 4, Brett Bielema, we added 4 more teams into the Big Ten this year. There's 18 teams in here. I think this could be a top half Big Ten team. And I'm not saying that's enough, but baby steps. We all know where we were 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I'm a big Brett guy. I've always been a Brett guy. And I think wins like today are why. Was this Brett's best victory for the Illini? I think it was. Another topic I'll tackle at some point this week. Speaking of, like I said, please, if you're here for the first time, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I go live every single day. I give you a 25 to 35 minute episode every single day, just talking Illini content. I'm the only one out there that I know of that does it. You can support the channel. Costs you nothing by just hitting that like button, subscribe button, notification button. If you want to support in other ways, join the SUBTEXT group. There's a couple of you who I converse back and forth with who want to see this segment or that segment, and because they support the show a little bit in other ways, but feel free, no obligation. Also, Locked On Illini Facebook, Locked On Illini Instagram. I went live on Instagram at halftime, giving my views. I'm going to be doing that as often as I can as well, to really try to build this brand. Again, I'm doing this solo, so all the support I can get. Let's just see, we're at 1103. Thank you all so much. 1,103 subscribers. That's the second biggest Illinois channel that I can think of. Sante, Oregon too, after Idaho almost beat them in Eugene. Yeah. Malcolm, you saw Oregon play. I saw the highlights. I didn't get to watch the game. Oh, Malcolm says Oregon's losing again to Boise 10-7. Dean makes a very good point, and something I wanted to talk about. The Illini baited Daniels on every interception. Neal should have had 20-plus carries. 100%. I mean, as much as we won the game, Nebraska lost that game. They handed it to us. And you know what? That's fine. There's been plenty of games in the past where the Illini have done the exact opposite. So I'm not going to feel sorry for that. Gregory, what's going on, sir? ILL, baby. I'm Gregory. Nice to see you. Brad says, can't pull a Notre Dame next week. How Illini would that be if we lose next week? Check it out. Says, just for fun, go listen to the Kansas fans complain about this. I can't imagine that post game is very fun. Kat says, Notre Dame lose today was a shock. Have you seen NIU take them down? There's nothing like being at a sold-out Memorial Stadium. I remember it from the 1980s. Wow, Malcolm. Been a fan a little bit longer than myself, but I can just imagine. This is an interesting question. Check it out. Like, I've had this conversation with folks before. Anybody else here want to see Illinois play NIU in the future? To me, the answer is no. Not because I'm scared of NIU, but because there's no upside for the Illini to play NIU. If we win, that's a game we're supposed to win. If we lose to an in-state rival, and a lot of the fringe recruits that we're recruiting, we could be in trouble with. Greg says, thanks for all your hard work, Sunny. Greg, I appreciate you. Greg is a follower from Illini Cast and Locked On, a huge supporter of both my programs and me. And Greg, I just know I appreciate everything you do. Check it out. Oh, Sunny works extremely hard on this channel. Thank you so much. Check it out as well. I always appreciate your guys' feedback. I hate that I don't do this live as often as I want to. I just wasn't sure if there was going to be an audience, but we had almost 100 people here earlier today. Even now we have 78 of you. So this might be something I need to consider a little bit more. Malcolm says the 50-yard field goal was into the wind. David Olano, fellow Napervillian. I grew up in Naperville as myself. Neuqua Valley, first graduate class out there. But he ice cold in his veins. Like he was not nervous at all. Even that last field goal, you're talking about, that was basically his first meaningful kick, right? We needed those 3 points. You don't want to only be up 3 against a Kansas team and giving them a minute and a half, 2 minutes. But Alana, right through the uprights. Brad says, do you think Valentine leads the team in rushing from here on out? I don't think so. I think so. When I was at the Big Ten Media Days, Brett Bielema, I got a chance to talk to Brett Bielema, and Brett could not stop talking about Caden Fagan. And he talked that like the benchmarks, that the physical benchmarks he was hitting when it came to like little drills that they were doing, nobody in college football was able to do. He only knew of a couple guys in the NFL who were able to hit the numbers that Caden was hitting. So I think it's Caden's job. I think Lawfrey's still in number 2, but Valentine's right there. And I would be shocked if we don't see more Valentine moving forward. All right, I'm going to wrap it up now. I got a lot of recording for you guys to do. Follow me at Illini Cast. Also find us at Illini Cast on YouTube on your way out. We may have a little more long-form show there, pregame and postgame. On your way out, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Facebook. Hit me up on Instagram. Let me know what you like. All right, this is your show, guys. This is 100% your show. We're at 1,103 subs. Thank you all so much. I'm so lucky for each and every one of you. Again, I try to do this daily, and I can only do this daily because of you guys. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Locked On didn't have very high expectations for this Illinois show. And then I had my quarter meeting with them, and they were blown away by the numbers. And that's because of what I've been telling them all along. Illini fans are incredibly passionate, and that's you guys. So that's going to wrap it up. Remember, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. ILL. Love you guys.